The photo below shows an electronic kitchen scale in grams with 3 fruits placed on the scale. One fruit is called a pear. One of the fruits is a pear, and they have told us it weighs 128 grams. The other one is a plum that weighs a plum, they said half of the pear. That means for it, it's 64 grams. And the last one, which is what? A peach. They have not given us the answer, but they say when you add all of them up, you have to get the answer as 349 grams. This I'm getting it from here. So they want us to give the answer. Number 1, convert the total mass of the fruits into kilograms. So we are changing grams. We are changing grams to kilograms. And small to big we divide. So we are going to divide by 1,000. So we have 394 divided by 1,000, and the answer became 0.394. These are kilograms. Don't forget the units. Okay, 1.3.2. The pear is removed from the kitchen scale. Write down the new reading. Now, it simply means, okay, this is 1.3.2. If the reading scale was 349, we remove the pear, which is 128. What is the new reading? The new reading would be 266 grams. 266 grams. Look at the other question. The same scenario that we're looking at, they're asking us, show how the mass of 202 grams for the peach was calculated. Remember, as I explained to you, we have the pear plus the plum plus the peach. They should end up giving us 394. These are grams. All right. Instead, the pear is 128. The plum, they told us a half, so which means it's 64. Plus the unknown should give us 394. Guess what happens? When you add these two, you end up having 194 grams plus the missing one equals to 394. So this one jumps over there. It crosses over here. It becomes a negative. So when it becomes a negative, this becomes 34 minus 194. And the answer indeed becomes 202. These are weight. You get 92. This is not. When you add this, you get 92. When you subtract, you end up having this much. That's how they wanted you to show that. We look at question number 1.3.4. This was 1.3.3. 1.3.4, what does it want us to do? Probability. Probability simply meaning a chance that you select a given item. Now, of these items that we have, nothing is called a banana. So the probability here, the probability is what? 0. Why? There's no banana, so there's no chance that you get a banana. Okay. Last one. Write down simplified ratio. Ratios. Now, a ratio is divided. Okay, it's in 2. If they say there's what we call a unit ratio. If they say a unit ratio, this means your answer has to start with 1 is to a given number. But simplified, they can be any numbers. You can have a 2 and any number. Let's say 5. Simplified. You understand? I would give an example. An example could be, let's say you have 320 is 2. Should we say 40? So here, this one becomes what? 32 is to 4. You can stop there. All right. If not, you can get your calculator. What you do, get the small number, which is 40, put it in like this, and you press equals. Oh, this one becomes a unit ratio somehow, because this one will give you 1:2. This is a unit ratio. 1:2 a given number. Anyway, let's look at the question that we are supposed to look at. Let's look at the question that we are looking at now. The question we are looking at, they want us to have a ratio. They want us to write the ratio. They want us to write the ratio of what? Always understand this. Now, there is a ratio of the total mass to the total mass of the peer. So total mass to total mass of the peer. So the total mass we had 394 is to 128. Simplified form, what did we say? Give a small number. So here this one will be 128 over 394 equals. So that means the smaller part takes 64. And the other part will take the remaining part. The smaller part, the 128 takes 64, and the 300 takes 197. So this is the answer. Leave it like that. That's a simplified form. Simplified form. When we look at ratios, this is what we look at. All right, let's look at this question number 2. Daniel is a 53-year-old man earning a monthly gross salary of 32,500. He contributes 7.5% of his salary towards pension each month. His contributions towards medical aid for himself, his wife, and 3 children. Use the tax table below to answer the questions that follow. But the first one does not need any tax table. Straightforward. Eh? They're asking us annual contributions towards pension. So what we're going to do, we shall pick our 7.5 divided by 100 times the money the person gets every month. So get your answer. Let's see what's our answer here. We said 7.5 divided by 100 times 32,500. Press equals. So if the number is like this, you press this SCD, the number becomes normal. So it's 2,437 rands, 50 cents. But now there's a word called annual. That means throughout the year. What are we going to do? We shall multiply by 12. Remember, your answer, you have not yet removed it from the calculator. All you come to do here, you say multiplied by 12. And the answer becomes 29,250. 29,250. This is the amount he pays in pension. Okay. Someone else would have done this, but it's fine also. 0.075 times 32,500 times 12. This one gives you the same answer also. 0.075 times 32,500 times 12. Still get the same answer. 29,250. Pick any of your choice. Okay, we continue. We continue. All right, here we go. 9 marks. But what are we doing? It says, Daniel claims that his tax is more than 15% of his monthly gross salary. Show with calculations that his statement is valid. Number one, do we know his tax? We don't know his tax. That means we need to first look for his tax. So before we look for the tax, the money we are going to use, it has to be taxable. The money we are going to use, it has to be taxable income. You need to look for first you have to look for taxable income, which is gross minus pension. And the taxable income is supposed to be annual. So already we have pension as annual. So what happens? This one has to be annual also. So let's do that and see. The gross salary, the annual gross salary, that's what you're looking for. Remember, he gets 32,500 times 12 minus the pension that we've just got, 29,250. The pension that we've just got. So what you're going to do, multiply and we find out the answer there. We are saying 32,500 times 12 minus 29,250. Press equals. So the taxable income is 360,750. 360,750. This is the money that is going to be taxed. This is the money that's going to be, we are looking for the tax. So we look for which bracket does this money belong to. We come here, we compare this number that we've got, and we find out it's we have bracket 1, 2, and 3. It has already exceeded this because it's 360. So if it's in 3, that means you're going to use this calculation here. We shall come and write it down. 73,726 plus 31%. I'll write it like 0.31. Open brackets. Now, the moment you open brackets, you bring this money that you've been, it comes here. So it becomes 300 minus what? The money that is found there, which is this. So it becomes 353,100. Please, at this moment, try to simplify. Do this for me. Get the answer from the brackets. Now, the answer from the brackets, we need, we're saying 750. 360,750 minus 353,100. That's what I wanted. So I bring the answer that I've got. I put it here. Please, having done this, put it in a calculator the way you see it. So this becomes 73,726 plus 0.31 times the answer we had just got today, 7,650. What answer do we get? Okay, we have 76,097 rands 50 cents. So this is the annual tax before rebate. But they've told you this guy is 53, so the rebate has to come in here. The rebate minus the medical tax credits. Now, the medical tax credits are monthly. You see, per month. Yet we are dealing with annual amount. So the money that we shall get here, we shall multiply it by 12. Let me show you. But also to get the medical tax credits, you need to know the number of people that we are looking at. Now, let's see here. He himself, the wife, those are 2, 3 children. That means there are 5 people. There are 5 people. So the first 2 people share the same amount. The taxpayer, the taxpayer plus the first independent. So I will use this one here. That means it's 694. You might ask yourself, why I'm using this one because this one's a combination of these two, the taxpayer and the first dependent. So I'm just going straight. So if two people have already been taken, how many are remaining? We're remaining with 3. 3 times this other part here. Each additional dependent. So there are 3 additional dependents, which is multiplied by this much. I'm looking for what we call medical tax credits. I multiply by 12. Why? Because I'm dealing with annual amounts. So we have 76,097 minus the rebate. The person is 53 years of age. He only qualifies for the primary one. So we shall come and you say minus the answer that you've got here. Let me see. Let's see the medical tax credit. We are saying 69.4 plus 3 times 234 equals, multiply this by 12, 16,752. 16,752. So let's subtract it from the answer that we had there. Let's see. All right. Okay. So we get the annual tax to be paid is this much, 42,920. We have 50. This is the annual one, but we want the monthly one. So we divide by, let's divide by 12. So every month is supposed to pay 30,000. 30,576 rand 71 cents. So now ask yourself, is this 15% of the grocery? How are we going to do that? We're going to divide this, but remember he gets, so we multiply by. Should this answer be more than 15, then the claim is right. Should the answer be lower than 15, then the claim is what? The claim is invalid. Indeed, it's invalid because we end up having 11,00. So please don't forget to say the claim is what? It's invalid. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Okay, so his claim was invalid. Let's go to question number. Show how the 239,452 in tax bracket 6 is calculated. How is it obtained? We are looking at this value here. How is it obtained? How is it obtained? Now, what I want to tell you is that these values come from previous brackets. For example, let's take an example of this one in 2. I'm going to show you this one here. How is it obtained? How is it obtained? This is what I'm going to do. So since it comes from a first bracket, so this one will be 18% times the maximum number. The maximum number in bracket number 1. So we shall say 0.18 times 226. So this one becomes, and when you look at this number here, it's the same as the one which is here. So these, we call them maximums and minimums. This is the maximum tax paid in bracket number 1, yet it's a minimum starting point of bracket number 2. So maximum in bracket number 1 and minimum in bracket number 2. Should they ask you what's the minimum tax one could pay in bracket number 2? This first number is the minimum tax one could pay. Minimum. Okay, let's go to the second one. Let me pick this one here. How did they get it? This means because we have bracket 1, 2, 3, 4. So this value came from bracket number 3, but how? We shall write bracket number 3 the way it is, plus 0, 31, open bracket. When you open brackets, you put the maximum number that you have here, 488,700 minus what? Minus the value that you're seeing here. At this moment in time, please pick it, put it in your calculator the way it is. You don't need even to simplify. Oh, we need to look for the answers here that we have. So this is in bracket number 4, and I've just showed you. So this means it's the minimum. It's the minimum in bracket number 4, and it's the maximum in bracket number 3. Why? It came from bracket number 3. It's going to bracket number 4. Okay, let's look at the one that you have asked us. So this one here comes from bracket number what? 5. Good. So if it comes from bracket number 5, we shall write bracket number 5 here, which is 170,734 plus 0, 0.39. 0, 0.39 comes from 39 divided by 100 in decimal format. That's where you get the 0, 0.39. Okay, open brackets. We put the maximum number. So the maximum number here, it's this much. So we shall say, remember you use the bracket you use the calculations from the previous bracket. You don't use the current bracket because you want to fall here. So this is it, minus what? 641,400. Put this in your calculator. What answer do you end up having? By the way, you are just showing. So the final answer, it's about your calculations, the steps you're taking. Because already they're asking you, show how. So you're showing. So your answers are supposed to be coming from this other side here. And indeed, the answer, we get it as this much. You can also put it in the calculator and you find out. Let's put it in the calculator, we see. I'm going to put everything, 170,734 plus 0, 0.39, open brackets, 817,600 minus 641400 and press equals. Look at that. That's the same answer that you're looking for. So that's how we get the answers. Okay, let's look at the next question. Yes, this question we're looking at, it falls under what we call interest. It falls under what we call interest. What I want you to remember, or what I want you to know, is that interest. What is interest? Interest can either be a loss or it can be a profit. When does it become a loss? When you take a loan. It's a loss, you're losing. When does it become a profit? When you invest. But someone might ask us, what is interest? Interest is the extra amount of money one gains. You can say one gains, one gets, one gains on an investment, or one loses on what? On a loan, when it takes a loan. Okay. Then we have what we call, there's another one. This interest is an amount. Extra amount, sorry. Extra amount of money, not about. Extra amount, all right? Then we have what we call the interest rate. Interest rate, what I want you to know is that a percentage is a percentage at which the interest will be calculated. The percentage at which the interest will be calculated, it will depend. All right. We have two types of interest calculations that we expect. The interest calculations, interest calculation, interest calculation. One is the simple interest. And the two, it's what we call the compound. One is the compound interest. So, simply meaning, simple interest, all you have to know, it does not change. In other words, it's the what? It's the same throughout. Compound keeps changing. We shall see how we do the calculations. Compound keeps changing, period per period. Another thing of what's important in interest, before you calculate, you need to know the interest rate. Usually we represent it with I. The period, for how long. The period could be years or months or every after 2 years, Interest always given in what? Then what we call the P is what we call the principal, the amount one invests, or the amount one takes as a loan, the initial amount. All right? You have to know this. Okay. Take note, in mathematical interest, we don't use formulas. I will show you how we do it. Let's deal with the one that we have for now. All right, now when we look at this scenario that we have, Daniel receives a lump sum for having spent 20 years working with the same company. All right? 20 years working for the same company. The company rule is to award employees with 80% of their monthly gross salary. Daniel invested the amount he received into an account offering 11.5% per annum. The PA stands for per annum, every year, compounded annually. You understand? This means the money was gaining interest every year, compounded annually. It's not simple interest, compounded. So calculate how much it's supposed to be, how much he will receive after the 3 years. Okay, so now we're going to do this. First and foremost, we need to highlight what we need. One, we've got our 11, this is the interest rate. For how long? They're telling us for 3 years. Now, in compound interest, this one will tell, because we're going to do it step by step. So there are 3 steps that we're going to do. Then, do we have the amount, the principal amount of money that he invested? The principal amount of money will be 80% of the monthly. Remember, they're telling 80% of their monthly gross salary. In the scenario above, we saw that he earns 32,500. So when you look for this 80% of 32,000, let's see what we have there, which is the same as 0.8 times, okay. Yeah, 0.8 times 32, 32,500. Wonderful. So the money we are going to look at, it's what? 26,000. Is it? 26,000. Now, there are methods of calculating this. Remember, we don't have a formula. So first and foremost, what you're going to do, because it's going to increase. So at the moment, this money here carries 100%. It's at 100%. On top of this money, it's going to be gaining 11.5% every year. So what percentage is it all in all? Remember, they are both percentages. This means it's 1115%. You see that? So we divide this by 100. You end up having 1.115. Wonderful. So come here, ask yourself, how much will it be in the first year? In the first year, it's going to be the answer that the percentage that you've got here, 1.115 times the money is investing. So the first year, how much will he get? You write it down. So you have the answer as, come to the calculator here. We said 1.115 times 26,000. Press equals. Oh, at the end of the first year, he will have 28,990. Now we go for the second year. How much will he have at the end of the second year? Don't forget our percentage. It's 1.115 times. Now it's no longer 26 in this money that he ended with. It's the one that you put here. Multiply. You end up having 32,000. Sorry, 32,323 rands. 85 cents. The easiest way to do this, you'd come to your calculator, you click on answer, times 1.115. Click, you see that? 32,000, compare this answer with the one that I've just written here. 32,323 rands, 85 cents. So for the third year, we pick the same percentage times what answer do you get today? We shall come back to our calculator. Instead of, remember, you stopped with this one, so just press equals. It will give you 36,000. 36,000 and 41 rands 9 cents. So your answer will be this one. At the end of the third year, how much? This is what the question was asking. Calculate how much he will receive after 3. So this is what he will receive. Did they ask you for the interest? That means it will be the final answer minus the original answer. Sorry, the original amount that he invested. Interest. How much interest will he get? You understand? How much interest will he get? Okay, another method of doing this. Another method. Remember, we've got our percentage here. So another method will be, this is another method. It's not a must that you, but still also it needs this first. Okay, you get the money the person is going to invest, multiplied 1.15. You remember how we got this from here. Then this is for the first year. Then multiply again by 115. This is the second year. Multiply again by 1.115. This is the third year. So 3 years. Indeed, this one will give you the answer. Also the same as this is to the power 3. Why am I powering 3? Because it appears 3 times. You have 1, same number 3 times, and it's multiplying itself. So pick this, put it in the calculator. 26,000 times 1,115 to the power 3. Press equals. Indeed, you round off. Remember, we need only two numbers after the comma. So indeed, we have the answer as 36,041 rands and 9. So please pick the one that makes you feel comfortable. All right.